Welcome to Channel Unveiling Mysteries. This is a case that shook two U.S. presidencies, those of Trump and Joe Biden. On April 22, 2020, a young female officer mysteriously disappeared. As details of the case gradually came to light, it almost provoked outrage from the entire population, as it inadvertently exposed the dark underbelly of the United States, even leading to a political upheaval that could be recorded in history. So, what exactly happened that year? And why did it have such a profound impact? The case began with a young woman named Vanessa Guillen. She was born on September 30, 1999 in Houston, Texas. At just 21 years old, she had a childhood dream: to enlist in the military and defend her homeland, to become a heroine. To achieve this goal, she trained diligently from a young age and finally fulfilled her dream at 19, becoming a female soldier at Fort Hood military base. However, upon enlisting, Vanessa felt no joy in achieving her dream. Instead, she began to regret joining the army. She discovered that this military was too dirty and disgusting. In early 2020, Vanessa's mother noticed her daughter seemed depressed lately and asked her what was going on. Initially, Vanessa didn't want to cause her family worry, so she always avoided telling the truth. But as time passed, the long-suppressed emotions finally erupted. When her mother asked again, Vanessa angrily stated that the people in this army were trash. It turned out that since enlisting, Vanessa had been continuously harassed by her superiors. This was not unique to her. Most recruits or lower-ranking soldiers experienced this to varying degrees. Those who did not comply would be exploited by veteran soldiers who used their positions to make things difficult, even threatening to block promotions. When her mother asked for the name of her harasser, Vanessa dared not reveal it, knowing her mother would storm the base directly to demand justice for her, perhaps to avoid causing trouble for her family, or maybe wanting to give herself another chance with her dream. Vanessa decided to keep the harasser's identity a secret, hoping that person would back down after a while. However, the result was an even more tragic outcome. April 22, 2020, was Vanessa's day off. She wasn't supposed to be at the base, but that morning, she received a call from her superior requesting her to come in to cover a shift. Unable to refuse, Vanessa rushed to Fort Hood military base, but she never returned. By that evening, even after her shift handover time, Vanessa had not come home, and her phone was unreachable. Her family immediately called Fort Hood to inquire, but they only received the answer that no one had seen Vanessa after lunch. This did not satisfy the family, as everyone knew military bases had strict security and were monitored by many cameras. How could they not know where Vanessa had gone? So, the family immediately went to Fort Hood that night to demand to review security camera footage to search for clues about Vanessa. But they were refused on grounds of military secrecy. 3 days passed, and Vanessa's family still received no news from the military. They had lost faith in Fort Hood since learning what their daughter had been through. Therefore, after 3 days of fruitless waiting, they returned to the base to demand an answer, or at least a clear investigation update. Use arrow up and arrow down to select a turn, enter to jump to it, and escape to return to the chat. However, the military cited reasons of personal information, confidentiality, and refused to provide detailed information, only promising to notify them if there was new news. By Friday, there was still no news from Fort Hood. Vanessa's family began to realize that it seemed the military had no intention of investigating the matter. They went to the police station to report a crime, but the police refused to handle it because it was a case involving the military, a separate justice system from the regular one. In this deadlock, Vanessa's family sought help from a female lawyer named Natalie Kawam. With attorney Natalie's involvement, the case began to make significant progress. As a lawyer specializing in military cases, when she learned this case involved Fort Hood, Natalie smiled cryptically and told Vanessa's family, "Don't hope for Fort Hood. They'll never find Vanessa." This base had long been notorious for cases involving assaults on female soldiers, abuse of power, and even homicides. Natalie decided to use the power of the media to break the case. Vanessa's sister, Guillen, followed the lawyer's advice and posted information on social media about Vanessa's past harassment in the military and the military's passive investigation. The post quickly went viral and attracted national attention. Within a day, over 100 women also came forward, admitting to having been harassed in the military, making the incident a national focal point. Fort Hood was forced to hold a press conference, but still asserted that Vanessa had never been harassed and that all accusations were unsubstantiated rumors. Although the military finally began an investigation, the truth was they had taken no action whatsoever during the entire preceding period. This led many to question whether they genuinely wanted to seek justice for Vanessa. Therefore, after the military's explanation, even fewer people believed them, and their credibility plummeted. A month passed, but there was still no news about Vanessa. Vanessa's family was forced to begin suspecting the worst. In an interview, Vanessa's sister cried as she told the camera, "If my sister never comes back, I will definitely make Fort Hood pay." This was Myra's promise to her sister, and also a display of her determination. In the following period, the search for Vanessa continued in an organized manner. The military did indeed send many soldiers to participate in the search, but there was still no news. Vanessa's family turned to a non-profit organization called IQ. Note, it's likely IQ is a placeholder or mistranslation, as the primary organizations assisting the Guillen family were LULAC and local search groups. However, I will translate as provided. To help with the search. This organization specializes in assisting victims' families in finding missing persons. Thanks to their involvement, information about Vanessa quickly emerged. On June 21, 2020, members of IQ found the body of a woman near the Leon River. When discovered, the body had been dismembered and placed in 3 black plastic bags, buried in different locations. Through forensic examination, it was quickly confirmed that the victim was indeed Vanessa Guillen, who had been missing for many days. This information immediately put the military at the forefront of public outcry, as people truly could not understand why, with so much advanced equipment and professional personnel, the military had failed to find Vanessa, while an amateur search team easily did. This led many to question whether the military was truly searching seriously, or if they really wanted to find Vanessa. With the discovery of Vanessa's body, the case was officially confirmed as a murder. Furthermore, because the body was found outside the military base, the FBI immediately dispatched agents to investigate and successfully solved the case in just 2 days. According to the FBI's investigation results, on the day Vanessa disappeared, she was called to the base to cover a shift by her direct superior, Aaron Robinson, a sergeant. On that day, only the 2 of them were working at the armory, which was confirmed by many in the military. This meant that the last person to see Vanessa before her disappearance was Aaron. Therefore, the FBI immediately investigated Aaron in detail. According to soldiers' testimonies, at around 7:00 p.m. on the day Vanessa disappeared, 2 soldiers saw Aaron carrying a very large plastic container into his car. This led investigators to suspect that the container might hold Vanessa's body and that Aaron might be her killer. However, when interrogated, Aaron consistently maintained he was not involved in Vanessa's death. Through examining Aaron's phone call history, the FBI discovered that on the day Vanessa disappeared, Aaron had called his girlfriend, Cecily Aguilar, dozens of times until she answered. This clearly showed that Aaron had something urgent to tell his girlfriend that night. Therefore, the police suspected Cecily might also be involved in the case and immediately brought her to the station for questioning. Initially, Cecily claimed Aaron only called to arrange a date, but after several hours of interrogation, Cecily's psychological state completely broke down, and she confessed everything. According to Cecily's testimony, Aaron knew that only 2 people would be working at the armory that day, so he intentionally called Vanessa to cover the shift to sexually assault her. However, because Vanessa's physical strength was comparable to that of a man, Aaron could not overpower her, leading to a struggle and accidentally killing Vanessa. After that, Aaron called Cecily and recounted the entire incident, hoping Cecily would help him dispose of the body. Aaron could have kept this secret entirely to himself, but because he and Cecily had absolute trust in each other due to the dark secrets they held about each other, Cecily agreed to help. The law leaves no one out, and the couple's crimes were finally exposed. Although the entire course of the case was clarified, the ironic thing was that it took the FBI only 2 days to solve the case, while the military took over 2 months and still failed to do so. This led many to believe that the military truly did not want to solve the case. Although the military later announced the progress of their investigation, asserting that they had also found Aaron and Cecily, this only made many people suspect even more that they did not want to resolve the case. Fortunately, all of this no longer mattered because the perpetrator had been caught and would face legal punishment. But on July 1st, 2020, an unexpected event occurred. The FBI received news from the military that Aaron had escaped. This news astonished everyone because the military inherently had strict security. How could Aaron have escaped without anyone knowing? With no time to assign blame, the FBI and local police immediately coordinated to track down Aaron. They finally found Aaron 6.9 kilometers from Fort Hood military base. However, when discovered, Aaron immediately pulled out a gun and committed suicide. His death did not garner public sympathy. Instead, it raised questions about the origin of the gun and why he took his own life. After Aaron's death, the case was further investigated, and members of Congress demanded continued investigation to uncover the final truth. During the investigation, it was discovered that Aaron was not the only one who had harassed Vanessa, but the identities of the others could not be determined. Only Cecily was legally punished. This outcome was unacceptable to Vanessa's family, especially her sister Mayra, who always believed that the officers at Fort Hood had killed her sister. In an interview, Mayra made a shocking proposal: to strip the military of its criminal investigation authority to protect her sister's soul. Initially, Mayra's words were impulsive, but they unexpectedly garnered public support, quickly becoming the hottest topic across America. Lawyer Natalie Kawam, who had helped Vanessa's family from the beginning, also reached out to Mayra and said she had wanted to do this for a long time. Initially, Mayra hesitated because this meant confronting the entire U.S. military. But thinking of Vanessa and other victims of harassment, she decided to go through with it. Thanks to the power of public opinion, the proposal achieved some initial success. On September 30th, 2020, President Trump held an official meeting with Vanessa's family and lawyer Natalie, and also organized a nationwide live broadcast. Finally, after the conversation, Trump agreed to the creation of a law named the Vanessa Guillen Act. However, this law still needed to await the results of a congressional vote, scheduled to take place on Vanessa's birthday, September 30th. But on the day of the vote, Congress made no progress. Perhaps the issue had not received enough attention, or congressmen did not want to get involved. However, Myra and Natalie did not give up. They continued to meet with congressmen to lobby for a revote. But in the meantime, on January 20th, 2021, Trump's term ended, and Joe Biden became the new president. This risked wasting all their efforts, because without presidential consent, no law could be passed. Fortunately, Biden still supported the law, and on December 15, 2021, the Vanessa Guillen Act was voted on again, passing successfully with 89 votes in favor and 10 abstentions. Subsequently, President Biden held a press conference to sign the executive order for this law, and at the same time, 14 officers at Fort Hood were severely punished. In this moment, Myra had fulfilled her promise and brought justice to her sister Vanessa. Although she has forever left this world, her name will always be remembered on the stage of history as another way of fulfilling her dream of protecting the country. But if she could turn back time, would she still choose this path? The disappearance case of Vanessa Guillen was not just a regular criminal case, but a mirror reflecting the corruption and overwhelming power within the U.S. military system. Through the journey of Vanessa's family and the support of organizations, lawyers, media, and the public, the case became a symbol for the struggle against injustice and abuse of power in the military. It also contributed to promoting legal reforms to protect vulnerable individuals, especially women, in the military. Detailed case analysis, a personal tragedy. The case began with the mysterious disappearance of Vanessa, a passionate young woman who chose a military career to serve her country. However, instead of being a place to fulfill her ideals, the military became a place rife with intimidation and abuse. Vanessa faced harassment from her superiors but could not find a safe place to report it, partly due to the closed nature of the military system, and partly due to a culture of covering up wrongdoings to protect the organization's reputation. Lack of transparency and accountability within the military. The military was heavily criticized for its lack of transparency and accountability in the investigation process after Vanessa's disappearance. Despite having modern equipment and professional personnel, they failed to find the victim for a long time. This not only eroded trust from the victim's family, but also from the American public. In particular, the emergence of civilian search organizations like IQEQW. Note, again, this likely refers to LULAC and local volunteer groups, clearly showed the stark difference in effectiveness between the military and spontaneous search teams. The importance of media power and community advocacy. Without the help of the media, the public, and especially the persistence of Vanessa's family, the case might have been forgotten or covered up. The American public exerted strong pressure, forcing the government and military to face their responsibilities. Other victims also bravely spoke out about similar experiences, transforming Vanessa's case into a national movement for justice. The significance of the Vanessa Guillen Act. The case not only led to the punishment of the perpetrators, but also generated long-lasting policy changes. The Vanessa Guillen Act is a significant step forward in protecting the rights and safety of service members, while also setting an important legal precedent to limit the military's power in investigating internal criminal cases. This is a remarkable achievement for Vanessa's family and civilian organizations, demonstrating that change can be achieved when society unites for justice. The Vanessa Guillen case has become a valuable lesson about the power of justice, family love, and social solidarity. The courage of Vanessa's family, especially her sister Myra, has inspired many across America in the fight for justice for victims. This journey was not only to honor Vanessa, but also to protect thousands of other service members who have faced, are facing, and may face similar situations in the future. Vanessa Guillen's struggle reminds us that no matter how powerful and entrenched a system may be, it can still be challenged by human unity. From this case, U.S. authorities and the military were forced to re-examine their approach and management of issues of abuse and harassment internally. It ignited a comprehensive reform of military culture, while also laying the groundwork for a more transparent and just society. Although Vanessa is gone, her legacy lives on in the hearts of those who love justice and truth. Her family's brave actions transformed a personal tragedy into a symbol for the struggle for justice and systemic reform, opening up a safer, fairer future for all U.S. service members. This case was not just a legal victory, but a triumph of faith in justice, truth, and human rights. Don't forget to subscribe to the Unveiling Mysteries channel to always receive the latest videos that help you achieve success in life. Thank you for following and accompanying the channel.